Hi, this is Charlie with Born to Retire AstroWorks, and I'm going to show you today a really cool website to go to if you are one of three things in my mind. One, you may be a student in a science class and you're wanting to learn more about the sun and how it interacts and moves within the sky with the earth over the year and how that changes. You know how sometimes the sun's really high in the sky in the summer and really low at noon in the winter. Just a site that's really good at showing you from whatever point on Earth you're at to see how that works. That's one. Two is that maybe somebody's interested in astronomy and they're wanting to learn more about the sun. Or three, maybe you're just interested. You're curious about why the sun does what it does and how it interacts. This is a fantastic site to get in there and learn a little more about that. Now, a couple of things, and I'll get in and show you the app. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in there. I just want to go around the navigation of it real quick, and then it's fun to get in there and play with it. Now, this will work best on a laptop or a PC. You could do it with Windows, Apple. You could do it with Linux. You could do it with Windows. And I'm on Windows here. Go to your favorite web browser. And if I was doing this in front of a class, I'd be saying, if I go too fast, tell me to slow down, because I have a tendency to speak way too fast because I get excited about this stuff. So I'll try to stay slow here. I'll try not to go too fast. And that's not you, it's me. If you're thinking, man, I can't keep up with this guy, it's not you causing the problem. It's probably me because I go way too fast. So anyway, go to your favorite web browser. I'm going to DuckDuckGo. And when I get in there, or when you get into yours, whether it's Google or whatever you're going to use, type in suncalc.org. That's suncalc.org. Suncalc.org. If I go too fast anyway, hit stop. Heck, this is an exciting topic. You could sit here, you could hit stop and start at will to make sure if I've gone too fast, you can go back and hear it. Once you've got suncalc.org typed in, hit the search button, and your very first return on whatever web engine you're using, search engine, should show you SunCalc as your first option. Left click it, and it's going to bring you to this screen. Now, it's going to look really complicated to you, but I'm going to try to walk through it in the next several minutes here and just show you how it works, because it's really interesting, the information it provides, and gives you a different vantage point on how to visually see what happens with the sun as it moves across the sky at different times of the year at different locations on Earth. So I'm going to quickly describe what you're looking at here. Adults learn best when we think about when we look at a website or a piece of paper or a drawing or graph, whatever it is, that we want to start, or our minds naturally start upper left, so top left to lower right. And that's how we learn. So that's the way this website's laid out to think about. So you want to start with, you go up here. Of course, you're seeing the globe or the map of the Earth and all this and getting confused by it probably right now. But go up to the upper left, and you'll see a slider bar up here. And what's really cool about that is you can left click on that. The sun, if you see where my mouse at, is in the center about 11 o'clock. So that's the time of day. And right now it's set by default. That's the last location I was looking at on LaSalle Street in Chicago on the 25th of February at about 11 a.m. So that's the last time I was playing with this, so it goes back to that. There's a live button, so you can start to see this move live throughout the day. If you've got nothing else to do in life and you want to watch the sun move on a computer here, you could do that. I'm not going to click that for the moment. You could type in any location you want, but as you move the slider, we can see at that time at 11:09, it's going to show you within this yellow area, that was sunrise at the beginning on the left. To the right, that's sunset at 1700 hours. Looks like about 1740 in the evening, 1736. That's 5:30. So you take two. Once you use military time, the way I always remember it is once you get past like 1 o'clock, so afternoon, 1 o'clock, subtract 2 from the second digit and drop the 1, and that's the time in regular people time, not military time or hospital time. So that's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So you can move this slider and see, okay, today around there, that's when sunset's going to be. There's a lot more to it than that, though. You can see in the left-hand pane, there's a lot of options here. So go ahead and type in whatever location you want. I'm going to type in Chicago. Type in your hometown. Type in whatever you want. To learn, it's going to be better off to pick somewhere that isn't one of the extremes. to make it easier to understand. So do whatever you want, but I'm picking Chicago. And today's June 25th. It should default to the date, I think, that you, if you haven't opened the app before, the date and time that you open the app. So for me right now, it's 12:03, or at 12:03, and then live. I'm not going to click that. There's a button there to sync the time with where you're actually at. So it's 11:12 actually here where I'm at right now today. And then you'll see below that some other options that we'll get into in a minute. So there's dawn. I could click on this button and just watch what it does on the screen here. It'll jump. It'll show you at dawn where the sun was at. So what I mean by that is on this screen in front of you, you see, let me go to sun culmination here, where the sun's at the highest point in the sky. So we are in February of 2025. So what you see in the help button over here on the left-hand side, if you go down here, right here, click that, it'll describe everything I'm going to walk through with you here very quickly. So what you see in front of you, imagine this is a big old compass, and say you're standing wherever you are outside, and you turn and look north. Or you're at this point here and you're turning, and you can look north or look east or south or west. And right now, since we're really closer to December 21st than we are to June 21st, the longest day of the year, you can see as it describes here, if I look east and then west and then south, the sun at about noon, that's the highest point it's going to get in the sky that day. So if I'm standing here and I'm looking south in this little circle on the South Street in Chicago, and I look south, the sun's almost the highest the lowest it's going to be all year long. So December 21st was there. It's slowly getting higher and higher and higher until June. It's going to be up here. And this line here with the other yellow gradient, that's the highest point. That would be June 21st. So that's the highest in the sky that it'll get. And what's neat about that is you can just click here in the left-hand buttons there. It'll give you a description of what they mean here. And you can click over, I'm in the left-hand pane again, sorry. So at dawn, if I click 6:03, it'll show me that's where the sun was at 6:03. It's a different color because it hadn't risen yet. It rises along this line. And if you notice I move my mouse over that line, it lights up this slice of pie there. That is the sunrise variation, how high or low the sun sets depending on what time of year you're at. So right now, we're right here. It rises right there. That'll change as you go through the year, right? So the arc of it, the change of how far northeast it rises, changes depending on the time of year. I'll let you guess what that means exactly. So there's 12 noon. You can drive slider over to dusk into the evening, and it goes behind the Earth. It's a different color now, right? So it's on the other side of the Earth now. It's going to come back around to the next day and slowly circle around again. Now, that's a quick description. This looks complicated. It's really not. Just read below here, and it'll tell you what each one of those things means. So I'll read it real quick. This thin yellow colored curved line, that's the path that the sun is going to take that day. So it's this line here. See the sun's on it right now? If I move that, it's that area that's lit up when the sun rises. See the arc? That's the arc it's going to take that day. The next thing it says the yellow deposit, so that's this gradient here. The yellow deposit shows the variation of the path of the sun throughout the year. So like I said, it's a lot higher in June than it is in December. But that's the variation between June and December for this place on Earth, and this location on Earth in Chicago. It says here, the closer a point in the center, the higher in the sun is. So the closer it is up here, the higher it is in the sky. And again, in June's the highest point at noon, that it'll be at this point. The colors in the above time slider show the sunlight during the daylight. That's up here. So the yellow is daylight. The sun on the time slider can be moved by the mouse or with your arrow key. So I move it with my arrow key too. I've got my hand off the mouse now. I'm just pressing my arrow keys, and it's showing, it's moving. You can see like you can see what I'm doing here, right? It's moving the slider, and it's also moving the sun on the globe too when you just hold down your arrow keys, or you can use the mouse. I hope that made sense. It's really kind of cool to see what it does in different places on Earth to demonstrate to somebody. If you're not a flat earther, they'd say this is all crap, right? But this is the real deal. So I'm going to type in somewhere really close to the equator. And a place I know is close to the equator is Quito, Ecuador. So let's type in Quito, and let's get ECU, Ecuador. And it's going to jump all the way down to Ecuador real quick for me. Now, think about the globe. Think about the Earth here real fast. So you notice the curve, the gradient curve in Chicago was really curvy here, right? The yellow variation. But since we're really close to the equator in Ecuador, it's just a straight line. So this is basically, say it's the equator almost. Well, there's really, really very, very little variation between the lowest point. There is none, right? Because we're on the equator for the highest and lowest point for where the sun gets. Now let's see what that means. Let's see something else here. So let's go to June 21st. So in the left-hand pane, I clicked where it said my date, and it's going to pull up a little calendar here. Go to June. I'm going to hit 21st. And let's see real quick on June 21st at 12 noon. So it's on sunset right now. I'm going to click the button that says culmination, 12:15, left click it, and you see where it goes. So this is June 21st, and you see the slider bar. It's almost at noon. Quito's not exactly on the equator. Excuse me, my asthma is getting me right now, but it's close. So on about 12:15 in the afternoon, that's the highest point in the sky in Quito, Japan, or Quito, Ecuador, for the sun. And you see, again, imagine you're looking. That's the highest point. Now it's the same, right? No matter, because you're near the equator, but that's where it is in June 21st. Now, what's cool about this, to help demonstrate this, so I can move the slider, of course, and the days it's like equidistant, right? So the sun's going to set basically at 6:19, and it rose at about 6:19 as well. Very close, 6:12, so very close. So that's because we're on June 21st, the longest day of the year. As opposed to going to December 21st, which is what? It's the shortest day of the year. And if I go to 12 noon, it's now, where's it at now? It's on the other side of the variation. So if we're looking south, that's the lowest point the sun will be, as opposed to, remember, in June, it was up here. And you can move the slider and play with it and kind of see what it does. Again, it's the exact opposite now, right? So the sun rises 6:07, and it sets at about 8:16 or 6:16 in the evening. So really cool. So if I do one more thing, let's go up to the equator. Or I'm sorry, let's go way as close to the North Pole as I can get. And just show you one more thing, and I'm going to let you go. And hopefully, you might find some use for this. Again, if you're in school or you're just wanting to learn more about, or just want to kind of play with it and see how the sun interacts. So I go way up here, and I think it's probably like in Baffin Island or somewhere like that. Let's go way up here, way up in northern Greenland. And this is December 21st, the shortest day of the year if you're in Greenland. Let's see what this tells us. So at 12 noon, I'm going to move this to 12 noon. That's where it's lit up. If you're here, that's on the globe, how far where the sun is actually above the horizon. It's lit in a different color. The darker color all up here, that means the sun's not coming up. So the shortest day of the year, if I'm right here in Greenland, I ain't seeing the sun all stinking day. That's what that tells me. And you can go over here, and it tells you that. So in the left-hand pane, dawn. There is really no dawn. It's undefined. Never rises. There's no sunrise. Culmination. Well, the sun gets to the highest point in the sky at 1:24 in the afternoon, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to be dark where I'm at in Greenland. Same thing for dusk. And the duration of daylight over in the left-hand pane I'm looking at, there's no daylight duration. And it gives you the distance from the sun and some other cool things there. Really neat, though. But if we flip this, and I'll end on this, go to June 21st, what's it look like? It's the exact opposite. So let's go to 12 noon. We're not near the equator. I could move this over if we want a little bit and get closer. We're just north of Iceland now a little bit. Excuse me. So now at 12 noon on June 21st, and about that same location, just a little bit farther to the east, it says here in the left-hand pane, the sun is circumpolar. It never sets. The culmination's at 11:58 p.m., about 12 noon. Sunset, it doesn't set in June when you get that far north. And you can see, if you want to change the slider, how it works, where it goes, and see where it rises, where it sets, and see how the darkness of the earth comes into play there. It doesn't get dark in June when you're that far north. So that's it. I wanted to show that to you real quick. It's a really cool website. That's a really quick Cliff Notes version of it, show through. This is just one of a lot of cool sites out there. If you're into astronomy, astrophotography, earth science, whatever, there's a lot of them, and I like sharing them. If I was in front of a class right now, they'd be telling me to slow down. I know I said that earlier, but I tend to get really excited about this stuff and talk really quick. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you would, one of the things I'm trying to do as I get closer into retirement is to share my excitement about astronomy and astrophotography especially, and share that with new generations with STEM careers. And there's such incredible opportunities. The growth of STEM careers is just way off the charts compared to other different careers out there. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, manufacturing, or mathematics rather. My goal is to be able to reach out and do community events, live events, get in front of younger people to share my passion for astronomy especially. And if you would, it doesn't cost you anything. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, sharing, liking. I know everybody asks that, and I hate to feel like I'm a beggar here, but if you would help me out by doing that, that would be fantastic. I'd really appreciate it. I'll bring you more very exciting websites like this. There's a lot of them out there that are really cool, and you'll help me towards that goal of trying to spread the good news about astronomy, astrophotography, and those STEM careers to other generations. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
So remember when you're feeling very small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth. And pray that there's intelligent life somewhere out in space. How come? 'Cause I'm afraid that we've been cheated here on Earth.